At Remix Austin, we've started doing something called the Remix Rodeo every few months. This is a time where we spend our hour and a half to 2 hours hacking on a different idea. We try to do it in groups of like three or four, and we have a little prompt and we just try to build what we can in that amount of time. And at the end, just share what we have. I didn't record our meetup in August of 2024, so this is a recording of some of the demos that I still have. As you can see, we've done a remix rodeo before. This was for April. Our prompt was to build a restaurant ordering app. And this month, we went ahead and made the prompt to build a game. Now, Remix isn't necessarily the best framework to build a game with, or rather, it doesn't really do anything specific for building a game. React is pretty good for it, especially. There are a bunch of different libraries you can use, like Pixie.js, Phaser, Kaboom. You can also use things like React 3 Fiber to do 3D renderings. There's all sorts of ways in React to build games. But we're a Remix meetup, and so we wanted to use Remix. Plus, if you have a game or an online game, you probably want some sort of save state persisted in a database or something. So there's plenty of places where Remix gives you hooks for that sort of a thing. So I wanted to go through a couple of the things that people had built. For my project, I actually kind of cheated and didn't build a game, but I built something that I personally have been wanting to start working on for a while now. And I actually have like over 50 board games at home, which is way too many. I run into this problem where I want to suggest a game to my friends when they come over. For instance, say I have like 4 friends, or rather me, my wife, and 2 other friends, and we want to play a game, and we don't want it to take more than an hour. I just want to be able to easily search for what games are even possible. So now I can see the myriad of games that work for that criteria. So I cheated. That's not really the prompt. I didn't actually make a game, but that was what I made. Someone made the Dino game, which is the, let's see if I can get it up. If I turn off my Wi-Fi, and then I just go to anything, right? You get this little dino, right? This is the Chrome Dino game. Here we go. I can jump over some cactuses, and then eventually I'll die. So I wanted to make this. There's not a whole lot of remix stuff to that. But what he did was he will restart. Oh, of course, I need the internet. You can see the stuff is coming, and then if I jump, I can jump over it. And then eventually, if I die, it says game over, and I had a score of 2. What he did was he recorded all the scores on the database. And so that was the kind of piece that he wanted to have the remix part. So when you lose, it record your score. And you could definitely extend this into more and more. You could be able to share your score, put your name in, or have an account, or all sorts of things. Pretty fun that he made the Dino game. It is pretty easy to cheat, though. I can just hold space. Oh, wait. I guess it's not that easy to cheat. And then finally, some folks made a Wordle clone. This is a recording that was sent over to me by Irwin's. And looking at some of the code, you can see they use every single line. When they hit enter, that is like a form submission. And so then it goes to their action. They pull out the form data, take the attempted guess, and like do some parsing and validation and variant testing, all this sort of stuff. And then they actually check it and they actually return back whatever they got. So yeah, a pretty cool way to build something that they were familiar with, so they didn't have to spend a ton of time making up a game necessarily. But still were able to use both the just Reacty parts of, a form, but then the remix part of actually submitting that and validating and using a database and all that kind of stuff. There were 2 or 3 other projects that I don't have recordings of, unfortunately. They were kind of similar, a lot of like word-oriented games, a lot of state that could be saved and scores that could be shared. So yeah, this is something that the Remix Austin group does every once in a while. If you run your own meetup, I highly recommend throwing together a little hack night. I think it's super fun. We've gotten really positive feedback. People have a really good time. A lot of times people do not get nearly as far as they hope they would, but it's always fun just to see how far did people get, to see the excitement people have to continue working on it after the fact, what they learn, what they experience. And it's just a nice way to allow everyone to work together and to meet each other. A lot of times at meetups, I've even been guilty of just going to a meetup and sitting there and listening and then leaving very quickly. But this is a really good way to just encourage people to meet each other over this shared thing that we're all there for, building things, building whatever our mind can come up with. Thanks everyone who participated, and I hope you like this little demo.